At my brother's wedding, my parents demanded that I hand over my penthouse keys in front of 200 guests. When I refused, my dad slapped me so hard my earring flew off. I walked out and made a call. An hour later, a woman showed up at the reception, and when my dad saw who it was, he started screaming. The champagne flute shatters against the marble floor of the grand ballroom, and 200 pairs of eyes turn toward me like spotlights. The crystal shards catch the chandelier light, scattered across Italian leather shoes and silk hem lines. My brother Marcus freezes mid-toast, his face cycling through confusion, embarrassment, then that familiar look of resignation he's worn since we were kids, the one that says here we go again. But this isn't my fault. Not this time. Give me the keys, Sophia. Dad's voice cuts through the wedding music, through the murmur of guests pretending they're not watching our family implode in real time. His hand is extended, palm up, like he's asking for spare change instead of demanding I surrender my home. I can feel my pulse in my temples. We're not doing this here. We are doing this here. Mom steps beside him, her champagne-colored mother of the bride dress rustling like autumn leaves. Right now. In front of everyone. The thing is, they planned this. I can see it now, the way they positioned themselves near the head table, how they waited until Marcus finished his speech about family and unconditional love before launching their ambush. They wanted an audience. They wanted maximum humiliation. I'm not giving you my keys. The words come out steady, but my hands are shaking. I press them against the cool silk of my navy dress. The penthouse is mine. Dad's face flushes the color of the rose centerpieces. That penthouse belongs to this family. I paid for it with family money. You gave it to me for my 30th birthday. My voice is getting louder now, but I can't seem to control it. With papers. Legal papers that say it's mine. As an investment, Mom hisses, glancing around at the watching faces. Until you got your life together. Well, congratulations, Sophia, you're 32, single, and apparently incapable of making responsible choices. The responsible choice in question? I quit my job at Dad's investment firm 3 weeks ago. The job where I'd been slowly dying for 7 years, pushing papers and kissing ass and pretending I cared about quarterly projections while my soul shriveled like a raisin in the sun. Instead, I'm starting my own marketing consultancy. I have 3 clients lined up, a business plan, and enough savings to float me for 8 months. But to my parents, this isn't entrepreneurship, it's rebellion. And rebellions, in the Castellano family, get crushed. The keys, Sophia. Dad's voice drops to that dangerous register I remember from childhood. Now. No. The slap comes so fast I don't see it coming. His palm connects with my cheek with a sound like a gunshot, and my vintage pearl earring, the one that belonged to Grandma Rose, goes flying. It skitters across the marble, a small white blur disappearing under a table of shocked wedding guests. The ballroom goes silent. Not quiet, silent. Like someone hit a cosmic mute button. My cheek burns. My ear rings. And something inside me, something that's been bent and compressed for 32 years, finally snaps. I'm done. The words come out in a whisper, but they feel like a scream. I'm done with all of you. I walk toward the exit on legs that feel disconnected from my body. Behind me, I hear Mom calling my name, not angry now, but panicked. Sophia, come back here. We can discuss this like adults. But I'm already pushing through the heavy ballroom doors, already fishing my phone from my clutch. My fingers are steady now, steadier than they've been all evening. I scroll through my contacts until I find the number I've been carrying around for months but never had the courage to call. She answers on the second ring. Hello? Ms. Rodriguez? This is Sophia Castellano. I think it's time we talked. A pause. Then, are you sure you're ready for this? I touch my burning cheek. I'm sure. Give me the address. I'll be there in an hour. I spend that hour in the hotel bar, nursing a whiskey neat and watching the ice in other people's drinks melt. The bartender, a kind-eyed woman in her 50s, doesn't ask questions when I order, even though my cheek is probably showing a handprint and my hair is disheveled from the confrontation. Rough night? She finally asks, wiping down glasses with practiced efficiency. Wedding, I say, like that explains everything. And maybe it does. She nods knowingly. Family or friends? Brother's wedding. I just got disowned by my parents in front of 200 people. She sets down her glass and really looks at me then. You want to talk about it? I almost laugh. You know what's funny? They think they're punishing me. Taking away the penthouse, cutting me off from the family money. But I've been planning to give it all back anyway. Why's that? I take another sip of whiskey, feeling it burn down my throat like liquid courage. Because everything comes with strings. The apartment, the job, the weekly family dinners where they tell me how disappointed they are in my life choices. The money isn't a gift, it's a leash. The bartender refills my glass without being asked. So what's the plan? I called someone. Someone who can make all of this go away. She raises an eyebrow but doesn't press. In the reflection behind the bar, I can see myself, makeup smudged, hair escaping its careful updo, the red mark on my cheeks starting to fade. I look like someone who's been through a war. Maybe I have been. My phone buzzes. A text, I'm here. I drain the last of my whiskey and leave a generous tip. Wish me luck. Honey, the bartender says, something tells me you won't need it. The ballroom doors are closed when I return, but I can hear the music resuming inside, a slow jazz number that sounds like an apology. The reception is trying to recover from my family's public meltdown, guests probably whispering about what they witnessed while pretending everything is normal. I don't go back inside. Instead, I wait in the marble foyer, watching the elevator numbers climb, 5, 8, 12, 15. The doors open, and she steps out. Carmen Rodriguez still looks exactly like she did in the newspaper photos from 2 years ago, when she made partner at Whitman and Associates after taking down the largest corporate fraud case in New York history. Her dark hair is pulled back in a perfect chignon, and she's traded her usual courtroom attire for an elegant black dress and heels that click authoritatively against the marble. Sophia. She extends her hand, and I shake it. Her grip is firm, confident. You sounded upset on the phone. That's putting it mildly. Carmen's sharp brown eyes take in my disheveled appearance, the fading handprint on my cheek. Tell me what happened. I give her the condensed version, the public confrontation, the demand for my keys, the slap that sent my earring flying across the ballroom floor. Carmen listens without interrupting, her expression growing more serious with each detail. Do you have the paperwork for the penthouse transfer? She asks when I finish. At home. Why? Because we're going to remind your parents that gifts, once legally transferred, cannot be arbitrarily revoked. Carmen opens her briefcase and removes a manila folder. I took the liberty of pulling the property records after our consultation last month. Everything is in order. Carmen Rodriguez. The lawyer I found through a referral service when I first started planning my exit from the family firm. The woman who specializes in helping people break free from controlling family business situations. The woman who's been preparing for this exact scenario for weeks. Are you ready for this? She asks. Behind the ballroom doors, I can hear the band launching into my way Marcus and Jessica's first dance. My brother is having his perfect moment while I'm about to detonate our family like a controlled explosion. Yes, I say. I'm ready. We walk to the ballroom doors together. Carmen straightens her shoulders, checks her watch. I've seen her do this before, during our consultation meetings, transforming from sympathetic lawyer to courtroom predator in the space of a heartbeat. Just to be clear, she says, her hand on the door handle, once we do this, there's no going back. Good, I say. I don't want to go back. She pushes open the doors. The effect is immediate and electric. Conversations stop mid-sentence. Couples freeze on the dance floor. Even the band seems to falter, the saxophone trailing off uncertainly. Carmen Rodriguez, the Carmen Rodriguez, has just walked into Vincent Castellano's son's wedding reception. And she's walking straight toward my parents. I follow Carmen across the ballroom, feeling like I'm floating. The guests part for us like we're royalty or dangerous animals, maybe both. At the head table, Marcus is standing frozen with Jessica's hand in his, their first dance interrupted. My sister-in-law looks confused, but Marcus knows exactly who Carmen is. Her reputation precedes her. Mr. Castellano, Carmen says when we reach the head table. Her voice carries across the ballroom with courtroom authority. Mrs. Castellano. I'm Carmen Rodriguez. Dad tries to recover, to summon some of that Castellano swagger. What are you doing here, Ms. Rodriguez? Your daughter retained my services several weeks ago. Carmen's smile is sharp as a blade. It seems there's been a misunderstanding about some property ownership. Mom finds her voice. This is a private family event. You have no business here. Actually, Mrs. Castellano, I have every business here. You see, when your daughter decided to leave the family firm, she wisely sought legal counsel about protecting her assets. Carmen continues, her voice clear enough for the entire ballroom to hear. The penthouse at 432 Park Avenue was legally transferred to Sofia Castellano as an unconditional gift. Any attempt to coerce her into surrendering that property, particularly through physical intimidation, constitutes extortion under New York state law. The last part hits like a thunderbolt. Physical intimidation. Half the ballroom saw my father slap me. Carmen's not just here to embarrass them, she's here to threaten them with criminal charges. Now, Carmen continues, I suggest we have a calm, adult conversation about this situation. Unless, of course, you'd prefer to explain to 200 of your friends and business associates why you just committed assault and attempted extortion at your son's wedding. The silence is so complete I can hear the ice shifting in someone's drink 3 tables away. Dad looks around the ballroom at all those watching faces, his business partners, his golf buddies, his social circle. People who respect him, fear him, depend on him. People who are now seeing him get systematically destroyed by a woman half his age. Perhaps, he says through gritted teeth, we should discuss this privately. Perhaps we should, Carmen agrees. But first, I believe you owe your daughter an apology. A public one. Mom makes a sound that might be a gasp or might be a sob. Dad's jaw works like he's chewing glass. But he knows he's beaten. In a room full of witnesses, with Carmen Rodriguez standing there like an avenging angel, he has exactly zero options. I apologize, he says, the words sounding like they're being pulled from him with pliers, for losing my temper. And? Carmen prompts. And for striking you. It's not much of an apology, it sounds more like a legal disclaimer, but it's more than I ever expected to get. I can see the cost of it in the lines around his eyes, in the way his shoulders sag. Carmen nods, satisfied. Now then, Mr. Castellano, shall we find somewhere private to discuss this situation like civilized adults? As they move toward a side door, Carmen leading, my parents following like scolded children, I feel a hand on my shoulder. Marcus. Oh my gosh, Soph, he whispers. Carmen Rodriguez? Really? She specializes in family business conflicts, I remind him. And you never thought to mention that she's been your lawyer for weeks? I turn to look at him. In his perfectly tailored tuxedo, with his perfectly styled hair and his perfectly confused expression, he looks exactly like the golden boy he's always been. But there's something else in his face now, something that might be admiration. I never thought I'd actually need her nuclear option, I admit. Jessica appears at his elbow, still looking bewildered. Marcus? What's happening? Who was that woman? That woman, I say, is the lawyer who brought down the Meridian Industries fraud case. She also apparently specializes in liberating people from controlling families. Jessica's eyes widen. Oh. Oh wow. The band, apparently deciding the drama is over, launches back into their set. Couples return to the dance floor, though the conversations are definitely not about the wedding anymore. I can feel eyes on me from every direction, some curious, some impressed, some probably disappointed that the fireworks are over. Are you okay? Marcus asks, studying my face where Dad's handprint is probably still visible. I'm perfect, I say, and realize I mean it. For the first time in years, maybe decades, I feel perfectly, completely myself. So what happens now? Before I can answer, Carmen appears at my elbow like a stage magician. Now, she says, we let your parents save face, and you go home to your penthouse. Which, by the way, is legally and completely yours, no matter what anyone in your family might say or do. What did you tell them? Carmen's smile is mysterious. I reminded them of a few things they'd forgotten. About respect, about boundaries, and about the fact that their daughter is an adult woman who makes her own decisions. She doesn't elaborate, but I can see from the way Mom is dabbing at her eyes with a napkin across the room that the conversation was thorough. Carmen, I say, thank you. For everything. Thank me by living your life on your own terms, she replies. That's what makes all of this worthwhile. The rest of the reception passes in a blur of careful normalcy. The guests pretend nothing happened, the bride and groom dance and cut cake and pose for photos, and my parents play their parts perfectly. But I can feel this shift in the room's dynamics, the way conversations pause when I walk by, the way people look at me with new interest. I'm not just Vincent Castellano's difficult daughter anymore. I'm the woman who brought Carmen Rodriguez to a wedding like she was calling in an airstrike. Around 11, Jessica approaches me at the bar where I've been nursing a glass of wine and watching the dance floor. Sophia, she says, sliding onto the bar stool beside me. I wanted to thank you. For what? I just caused a scene at your wedding reception. For standing up for yourself. She's quiet for a moment, spinning her wedding ring around her finger. Do you know how many times I've watched your father talk down to you at family dinners? How many times I've wanted to say something but didn't because it wasn't my place? I study her face. Jessica and I have always been friendly but never close. She's so perfectly polite, so carefully diplomatic. I never imagined she was paying attention to the family dynamics. Tonight, she continues, when that woman walked in and your father's face went white. I have never been so happy to see someone get their comeuppance in my entire life. Jessica, Marcus told me about the job, about what you're doing. Starting your own business, taking that risk. I think it's amazing. She pauses. I think you're amazing. There's something in her voice that makes me look at her more carefully. Are you okay? She laughs, but it sounds brittle. I work in PR for a pharmaceutical company. I spend my days crafting press releases about why insulin costs what it costs, and why that's actually good for diabetics. I haven't felt amazing in a very long time. We sit in comfortable silence for a moment, watching Marcus charm a table full of his college friends. He's good at that, making people feel like the most important person in the room. It's a gift. Can I give you some advice? I ask. Please. Don't wait 32 years to figure out who you are when your parents aren't watching. She nods slowly. Is that what tonight was? You figuring out who you are? I think about it. About the moment Dad's hand connected with my cheek, about the sound of my earring hitting the marble floor, about the feeling of dialing Carmen's number with steady hands. Tonight was me remembering who I've always been, I say. I just forgot for a while. The week after the wedding passes in a strange suspended animation. I work from my penthouse office, fielding calls from concerned relatives and curious friends, but mostly I just try to process what happened. The red mark on my cheek fades, but the memory of that slap, the sound of it, the shock on everyone's faces, stays vivid. On Thursday, I get an unexpected visitor. "There's a Margaret Castellano here to see you," the doorman's voice crackles through the intercom. "Says she's your mother." My first instinct is to tell him I'm not home. But curiosity wins out. "Send her up." I barely have time to close my laptop and run a hand through my hair before she's knocking. When I open the door, Mom looks smaller than I remember, older, more fragile. She's wearing the cream wool coat I bought her for Christmas last year, clutching her purse like a shield. "Hi, sweetheart," she says, and her voice breaks on the last word. We stand there for a moment in my doorway, two women who share a face but feel like strangers. Finally, I step aside. "Come in." She follows me to the living room, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. I watch her take in the space, the view, the furniture I picked out myself, the photographs on the mantel that don't include any family shots. "It's beautiful," she says softly. "You're home." "Thank you." I perch on the edge of the couch, not quite ready to get comfortable. "What are you doing here, Mom?" She sits across from me, setting her purse carefully on the coffee table. "I came to apologize." "For what specifically?" "For the wedding. For what your father did. For..." She gestures vaguely, encompassing years of disappointment and control. "For all of it." I study her face, looking for signs of manipulation or strategy. But she just looks tired. "Are you apologizing because you mean it, or because Carmen Rodriguez scared the heck out of both of you?" Mom's laugh is hollow. "Can't it be both?" She reaches into her purse and pulls out something small and white, my pearl earring, the one that went flying when Dad hit me. "I found this under the Weatherby's table," she says, holding it out to me. "I thought you might want it back." I take the earring, rolling it between my fingers. It belonged to Grandma Rose, my father's mother, who died when I was 16. She was the only person in the family who ever encouraged my independence, who told me I was smart enough to do whatever I wanted with my life. "She would have been proud of you," Mom says quietly. "At the wedding. Standing up for yourself like that." "You think so?" "I know so. She never liked your father's methods. Said he tried to control people because he was afraid of losing them." Mom looks down at her hands. She was right about that. We sit in silence for a moment. Outside, the city goes about its business, oblivious to our family drama. "Your father is scared," Mom continues. "Scared that we're losing you. Scared that we've already lost you." "You didn't lose me," I say. "You pushed me away." "I know." Her voice is barely a whisper. "I know we did. So what now?" Mom meets my eyes for the first time since she arrived. "Now we figure out how to be a family again. If you want that." "Do you? Want that?" "Yes." The word comes out fierce, certain. "Yes, I want my daughter back. Even if she's different than the daughter I thought I wanted." I feel something crack open in my chest, not breaking, but opening. Like a door that's been stuck for years finally giving way. "I'm not coming back to the firm," I tell her. "I'm not giving up my business. I'm not apologizing for the wedding. I'm not asking you to. And I'm not going to family dinners where I get lectured about my life choices." "Okay." "And Dad needs to apologize too. Really apologize, not just that corporate non-apology he gave at the wedding." Mom nods. "He will. It might take him some time to find the words, but he will." I slip the earring back into my ear, feeling its familiar weight. "I missed you, I admit. Even when I was furious with you, I missed you." Mom's eyes fill with tears. "I missed you too, sweetheart. More than you know." She stands to leave, and I walk her to the door. At the threshold, she turns back. "For what it's worth," she says, "Carmen was right about everything. You are an adult woman who makes her own decisions. And you're making good ones." After she leaves, I stand in my entryway for a long time, touching the earring and trying to process what just happened. It's not forgiveness, exactly, not yet. But it's something. A beginning, maybe. 2 weeks later, I get a call that changes everything. "Sophia Castellano?" The voice is crisp, professional. "This is Amanda Chen from Meridian Industries. We received your proposal for our rebranding campaign." Meridian Industries. The Fortune 500 company that reached out after news of my dramatic exit from the family firm started circulating in business circles. I'd submitted a comprehensive proposal for their corporate image overhaul, but I hadn't expected to hear back so quickly. "We'd like to offer you the contract," Amanda continues. "The full package, brand strategy, marketing campaign, social media presence. It's a 2-year commitment, 7 figures. I sit down hard on my couch. 7 figures. More than I made in 3 years at Dad's firm. That's incredible. Thank you. We were impressed by your work, obviously, but I have to ask, was the timing of your departure from Castellano Investments related to a disagreement about business practices? The question catches me off guard. Why do you ask? Because Meridian values integrity above all else. We've had some concerns about firms that prioritize profit over principles. Your decision to start your own practice, especially given what we heard about the circumstances, well, it speaks to the kind of person we want to work with. I lean back against the couch cushions, processing this. My public break from the family firm isn't just not hurting my business, it's actively helping it. Companies want to work with someone who stood up for their principles, even when it cost them. The departure was definitely related to philosophical differences, I say carefully. I believe business should be about more than just maximizing returns. Exactly what we wanted to hear. When can you start? After I hang up, I sit in my living room for a long time, staring out at the city. This contract will set me up for years. I won't just be surviving on my own, I'll be thriving. I call Carmen first. Congratulations, she says when I tell her the news. But I'm not surprised. You were always meant for bigger things than filing paperwork for your father's clients. Carmen, can I ask you something? Of course. That night at the wedding, you came so prepared. The documents, the legal arguments, how long had you been planning for that confrontation? There's a pause. Since our first consultation. I've seen this pattern before, Sophia. Controlling parents, family businesses used as leverage, adult children who need permission to breathe. I always prepare for the nuclear option, even if I hope it never comes to that. And you thought it would come to that with my family? I thought your father was the kind of man who would rather destroy something than lose control of it. Her voice is gentle but firm. I'm glad I was wrong about the destruction part. 3 months later, the success of the Meridian campaign has transformed my life completely. My client roster is full, my bank account is healthy, and I've moved my office from my penthouse to a sleek space in Midtown with room to grow. But the real change happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon when Dad called. Sophia. His voice is rough, uncertain. Do you have a few minutes to talk? We meet at a coffee shop in neutral territory, not the family neighborhood, not my new professional district, but somewhere in between. Dad looks older than I remember, grayer around the temples, with new lines around his eyes that might be from stress or might be from time. I owe you an apology, he says without preamble. A real one. I study his face, looking for the manipulation, the strategy. But like Mom's visit weeks ago, this feels different. Genuine. I was wrong, he continues. Wrong to try to control you. Wrong to think I knew what was best for your life. Wrong too. He touches his hand reflexively, the one that struck me. Wrong to put my hands on you. There's no excuse for that. No, I agree. There isn't. I was scared, he admits. Scared that if you left the firm, if you chose your own path, that I'd lose you completely. And in trying to hold on, I pushed you away anyway. We sit in silence for a moment, watching the afternoon crowd flow around us. Business people grabbing late lunches, students with laptops, couples on dates. The world carrying on while my father and I try to figure out how to be family again. I'm proud of you, he says finally. What you've built, the success you're having. I should have said that sooner. Yes, I agree. You should have. Is there a chance, he stops, starts again. Is there a chance we can figure this out? Be a family again? I think about it. About the years of control and criticism, about the slap that echoed through a ballroom, about the slowly healing relationship with Mom and the tentative rebuilding happening with Marcus. Maybe, I say. But it has to be different this time. How different? I'm not your employee anymore, Dad. I'm not your project or your investment or your disappointment. I'm your daughter, and that's all I should have to be. He nods slowly. I can live with that. Can you? Really? I can learn to. It's not perfect. It's not a fairy tale reconciliation with tears and hugs and immediate forgiveness. But it's honest, and it's a start. 6 months after the wedding, Marcus and I are having lunch at a restaurant near his new law office. He left Dad's firm 3 months ago, taking several junior associates and 2 major clients with him. The family dinner conversations have been interesting ever since. So, he says, cutting into his salmon, Jessica and I have some news. Good news or bad news? Depends on your perspective. He grins. We're pregnant. I nearly choke on my wine. Marcus. That's incredible. 4 months along. We wanted to wait until the first trimester was over before telling everyone. How are Mom and Dad taking it? About as well as you'd expect. Mom's already planning the nursery. Dad keeps talking about legacy and family traditions. Marcus pauses. He asked if we'd consider naming the baby after him if it's a boy. I raise an eyebrow. And? I told him we'd think about it. Marcus's smile turns mischievous. Then Jessica suggested that if we really wanted to honor family tradition, we should name him after the family member who taught us the most about standing up for ourselves. Please tell me you're not naming your son Sophia. Marcus laughs. We're thinking about Rose. For a middle name. After Grandma. I feel something warm and familiar settle in my chest. Grandma Rose, who taught me that independence was worth fighting for. Who would have loved seeing her granddaughter call Carmen Rodriguez to a wedding reception like she was summoning the cavalry? She would have loved that, I say. She would have loved all of this. The businesses we're building, the choices we're making, the family we're becoming. The family we're becoming? Marcus's expression grows serious. Come on, Soph. You have to see it. Dad's changing. Slowly, but he's changing. Mom's always been ready to support us when she saw we were serious. And you, he gestures at me with his fork. You started a revolution. I just refused to give back my keys. You stood up to a man who thought he owned his children's lives. You showed the rest of us that it was possible to choose ourselves without losing everything that mattered. I think about this, about the changes I've seen in our family dynamics over the past months. The way Dad asks about my business now instead of criticizing my choices. The way Mom calls just to chat instead of lecturing. The way Sunday dinners have become optional instead of obligatory, and somehow that's made them more meaningful when we do attend. What's next? Marcus asks. I don't know, I admit. Keep building the business. Maybe start thinking about expanding, bringing in associates. Figure out this new version of our family. Any regrets? I consider the question seriously. About the public confrontation, the bridges burned and rebuilt, the year of upheaval that followed my decision to choose independence over security. None, I say finally. Not one. 1 year later, the coffee shop in Soho is busy for a Tuesday morning, filled with freelancers and entrepreneurs tapping away at laptops and having intense conversations about funding and growth strategies. I fit right in now, casual dress, comfortable flats, laptop bag slung over my shoulder like a badge of independence. But today I'm not here as a solo entrepreneur. I'm here as the founder of Castellano Strategic, a marketing firm that now employs 6 people and has a client roster that includes 3 Fortune 500 companies. Jessica slides into the seat across from me, looking radiant in her second trimester of pregnancy. She's been working with a nonprofit that advocates for prescription drug reform since leaving her pharmaceutical PR job 4 months ago. The pay is terrible, but she lights up when she talks about it. How's business? She asks, stirring sugar into her decaf latte. Growing faster than I can handle. I show her my phone screen, 5 new client inquiries this morning, 3 referrals from existing customers, and a LinkedIn message from a startup that wants to poach one of my employees. I'm thinking about expanding again. More office space? More everything. More employees, more clients, maybe even opening a second location. I close my laptop and give her my full attention. How are you feeling? Like I'm growing a person inside my body, which is simultaneously miraculous and terrifying. She laughs, rubbing her small but visible bump. Marcus is convinced I'm going to give birth to a future Supreme Court justice. With his genes and your stubbornness? Probably. Speaking of Marcus, he has news. Good news or bad news? He got the Henderson case. I whistle low. The Henderson case, a class action lawsuit against a major corporation accused of environmental violations. It's the kind of case that makes careers, the kind that would establish Marcus as a serious player in environmental law. That's huge. It's also going to put him directly in competition with Dad's firm. They're representing the corporation. This gives me pause. In the year since Marcus and I both left the family business, we've managed to avoid direct professional conflicts with Dad. Our businesses operate in different spheres, serve different clients. But the Henderson case changes that dynamic completely. How's he handling it? He's nervous but determined. Says it's time to find out if his principles are stronger than his family loyalty. I nod, understanding completely. It's a feeling I know well, the moment when you have to choose between doing what's right and doing what's expected. He'll be fine, I say. We all will. Jessica studies my face. You really believe that, don't you? I have to. Because the alternative is going back to who we used to be, and none of us can do that anymore. My phone buzzes with a text from Carmen. Lunch next week? I have a proposition for you. I show Jessica the message. Think she wants to steal me for her firm? Or maybe she wants to steal your firm for herself. We finish our coffee and walk out into the bright morning. The city spreads around us, full of possibility and promise. Somewhere out there, other people are making the same choice I made, to build something of their own instead of inheriting someone else's dream. As we part ways on the sidewalk, Jessica heading to her nonprofit office and me heading to mine, I think about the journey that brought me here. From that moment at the wedding when everything fell apart to this moment when everything has fallen into place. The truth is, I wouldn't change any of it. Not the confrontation, not the slap, not the public spectacle of it all. Because that night, I finally stopped being the daughter my parents wanted and started being the woman I was meant to be. And it turns out that woman is pretty extraordinary. My phone rings as I'm walking. Mom's name on the screen. "Hi, sweetheart," she says when I answer. "I know you're busy, but I wanted to tell you something." "What's that?" "I saw the profile in Business Weekly. About your company, about the expansion plans." Her voice is warm, proud. "Your father saw it too." And he said, and I quote, "That girl always was too smart for her own good." She pauses. Coming from him, that's practically a love letter. I smile, stopping at a crosswalk to watch the flow of people around me. Maybe we'll all figure this out eventually. Maybe we will, Mom agrees. "I love you, Sophia." "I love you too, Mom." After I hang up, I stand for a moment on the busy sidewalk, feeling the sun on my face and the city's energy flowing around me. In my purse, Grandma Rose's earring catches the light, a small reminder of the woman who first taught me that independence was worth fighting for. A year ago, I walked out of my brother's wedding reception with nothing but my dignity and a phone number. Today, I'm walking into my office building as the CEO of a company I built from scratch, surrounded by people who respect my choices instead of questioning them. The elevator carries me up to the 15th floor, where the frosted glass doors read Castellano Strategic in elegant silver letters. My name. My company. My rules. Inside, my assistant Sarah greets me with coffee and a stack of messages. The Martinez group called. They want to schedule a follow-up for next week. And that tech startup in Austin? They're flying in Friday to discuss the rebrand. I take the coffee gratefully and scan the messages. 6 months ago, I was working alone from my penthouse. Now I have a team of talented people who believe in what we're building, clients who trust our vision, and a waiting list of companies that want to work with us. Also, Sarah adds with a knowing smile, "There's someone waiting in your office." I raise an eyebrow. "Please tell me it's not my father." "It's not your father." I push open my office door and stop short. Carmen Rodriguez is sitting in my chair, looking perfectly at home behind my desk. She's traded her courtroom attire for a sleek business suit, and she's reading through what appears to be my quarterly reports. "Carmen." I close the door behind me. "This is unexpected." "Your numbers are impressive," she says, setting down the report. 40% growth in 6 months. "That's remarkable for a startup." "Thank you. Though I have to ask, how did you get my quarterly reports?" Carmen's smile is mysterious. "I have my ways. Also, Sarah is very accommodating when you mention you're someone's lawyer." I settle into the chair across from my own desk, amused despite myself. "What can I do for you?" "Actually, it's what I can do for you." Carmen leans forward, her expression growing serious. "I want to make you an offer." "What kind of offer?" "The kind that could change everything." Carmen opens her briefcase and slides a folder across the desk. "I'm starting a new practice. Corporate liberation law, helping executives and entrepreneurs break free from restrictive family business arrangements, manipulative partnerships, corporate contracts designed to trap people in situations that no longer serve them." I open the folder, scanning the business plan inside. It's comprehensive, well-researched, and absolutely brilliant. "You want me to be your marketing partner?" "I want you to be my business partner. Equal equity, shared decision-making, your marketing expertise combined with my legal knowledge." Carmen's eyes are bright with possibility. "Think about it, Sophia. How many people are trapped in the same situation you were in? How many brilliant executives are staying in soul-crushing jobs because they think they don't have options?" I think about it. About the phone calls I've gotten from friends still working at Dad's firm, asking for advice about leaving. About the messages from strangers who heard about my story and want to know how to make their own dramatic exit. "It's a big decision," I say carefully. "It is. But it's also the right decision." Carmen stands, smoothing her skirt. "I'm not asking for an answer today. Take some time, think it over. But remember, this is exactly the kind of opportunity your grandmother would have wanted you to take." "How do you know what my grandmother would have wanted?" Carmen's smile turns soft. "Because Rose Castellano was one of the first women to practice law in this city back in the 1960s. She was my mentor when I was starting out. She talked about you all the time, said you had her fire, her refusal to accept limitations." The world tilts slightly. "You knew Grandma Rose?" "I knew her very well. She's the one who inspired me to specialize in helping people break free from controlling situations." Carmen picks up her briefcase. "She would have been so proud of what you did at that wedding, Sophia. And she would have been even prouder of what you've built since then." After Carmen leaves, I sit alone in my office for a long time, staring out at the city skyline. The folder sits open on my desk, full of possibilities and promises and the chance to help other people find their own freedom. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. "Dinner tonight?" Jessica's craving Thai food and wants to discuss baby names that don't honor anyone in our family. I text back, "Can't tonight. I think I'm about to change my life again." His response comes immediately, "Need backup?" I know a good lawyer. I laugh, typing back, I think I've got this one covered. That evening, I'm at home in my penthouse, pacing back and forth in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows while I talk to myself. It's a habit I picked up during the early days of building my business, working through big decisions out loud, as if saying the words will make the right choice obvious. Pros, I say to my reflection in the darkening window. Expanding into legal services. Helping people who are trapped like I was. Working with Carmen, who's brilliant and connected and shares my values. I pause, pouring myself a glass of wine from the bottle I opened to think through this decision. Cons, I continue. Giving up sole control of my company. Taking on a business partner. Risk. But even as I say the words, I know they're not really cons. They're just fears. And I've spent the last year learning the difference between legitimate concerns and the voice of anxiety that tries to keep me small and safe. My phone rings. Dad's name on the screen. Hi, Dad. Sophia. Do you have a minute? It's become our standard opening, no assumptions, no demands, just a polite request for my time. It's progress. Sure. What's up? I heard through the grapevine that Carmen Rodriguez might be trying to poach you for some kind of legal venture. I raise an eyebrow, even though he can't see it. Your grapevine is remarkably well informed. It's a small business community. People talk. He pauses. What are you thinking? The question surprises me. A year ago, he would have told me what to think. Now he's actually asking. I'm thinking it could be an incredible opportunity. It could also be incredibly risky. Combining two different types of businesses, taking on debt to expand, partnering with someone who has a reputation for being difficult. Difficult how? Rodriguez doesn't compromise. Ever. She burns bridges, makes enemies, alienates people who could be useful allies. I consider this. Is that necessarily a bad thing? In business? Sometimes, yes. What if the bridges deserve to be burned? What if the people she alienates are the same people who trap other people in bad situations? Dad is quiet for a long moment. You sound like your grandmother. Thank you. It wasn't necessarily meant as a compliment. I'm taking it as one anyway. Another pause. For what it's worth, I think you should do it. Now I'm the one who's quiet. Really? You've built something remarkable in the past year, Sophia. Something I couldn't have taught you to build, something that's entirely your own. If Rodriguez can help you build something even bigger, something that helps other people find what you found. He trails off. Your grandmother would have wanted that. You knew she was a lawyer? Of course I knew. Where do you think your stubborn streak comes from? I laughed despite myself. I thought it came from you. Mine's different. Mine comes from fear. Yours comes from principle. That's all, Rose. After we hang up, I pour another glass of wine and return to the windows. The city sparkles below me, full of lights and stories and people making choices about who they want to be. I think about Grandma Rose, practicing law in a world that didn't want women lawyers. I think about Carmen, building a practice around helping people escape exactly the kind of control I lived under for 32 years. I think about all the people out there right now, sitting in jobs they hate or families that diminish them, afraid to make the leap because they don't know how. I pick up my phone and dial Carmen's number. She answers on the first ring, like she's been waiting. I'm in, I say without preamble. I knew you would be. How? Because you're Rose Castellano's granddaughter. And Rose never backed down from a fight worth having. 6 months later, the grand opening of Rodriguez and Castellano feels like a celebration and a revolution rolled into one. The office space in Midtown is elegant but not intimidating, designed to make people feel empowered rather than overwhelmed. We've combined Carmen's legal expertise with my marketing background to create something entirely new, a firm that doesn't just provide services, but provides liberation. The guest list for tonight's opening reception reads like a who's who of people who've made dramatic career transitions in the past year. Former corporate executives who started their own companies. Junior partners who left prestigious firms to pursue public interest law. Women who walked away from family businesses that treated them like ornaments rather than assets. Quite a turnout, Carmen says, appearing at my elbow with 2 glasses of champagne. Quite a year, I reply, accepting the drink gratefully. We watch the crowd mingle, lawyers and marketing executives, entrepreneurs and activists, people who've chosen principle over security and are thriving because of it. At the center of it all, Marcus is deep in conversation with a group of environmental lawyers, while Jessica holds court near the appetizer table, her 6-month pregnancy making her the unofficial star of the party. Any regrets? Carmen asks. I consider the question. 6 months ago, I was running a successful marketing firm. Now I'm co-owner of a legal practice that specializes in helping people escape exactly the kind of control I once lived under. It's been exhausting, exhilarating, and occasionally terrifying. None, I say finally. Not one. Even about giving up sole control of your company? Especially about that. Turns out I'm better at building things when I have a partner who challenges me. Carmen smiles. Rose would be proud. I'm starting to think she's the reason we found each other. Oh, I know she is. She told me once that someday her granddaughter would need someone who understood the cost of standing up to powerful men. She made me promise to be ready when that day came. I stare at Carmen. She made you promise? 20 years ago, at her funeral. You were giving that eulogy, talking about how she taught you to be brave. I could see your father's face. He was furious that you were speaking when he told you to stay quiet. Rose had told me about the family dynamics, about Vincent's need to control everything. Carmen's expression grows soft. She made me promise to watch out for you, to be there when you were ready to fight back. You've been watching me for 20 years? Not watching. Just keeping track. Making sure you were okay, that you were building your own life instead of letting your father build it for you. Carmen takes a sip of champagne. When you called me about legal representation for your business transition, I knew the time had come. I feel something shift inside my chest, not surprise, exactly, but a deep sense of completion. Like pieces of a puzzle I didn't know I was solving have finally clicked into place. She planned all of this. She planned for you to have options when you needed them. What you did with those options was entirely up to you. Across the room, I catch sight of my parents near the bar. Mom is chatting with one of our clients, a woman who left her family's accounting firm to start a nonprofit focused on financial literacy. Dad is listening to Marcus explain the details of the Henderson case, which he won last month in a settlement that made front-page news. They came tonight. Both of them, dressed up and proud, introducing themselves as Sophia's parents instead of trying to take credit for my success. It's progress, slow, sometimes painful progress, but progress nonetheless. There's something else, Carmen says, following my gaze. Something Rose made me promise to tell you when the time was right. What? The penthouse. The birthday gift that your father tried to take back. Carmen's smile is mysterious. That wasn't your father's idea. What do you mean? Rose left a very specific will. Money for your education, money for Marcus's law school, and instructions for your father to purchase a property in your name when you turned 30. She wanted to make sure you'd have somewhere to go if you ever needed to leave. The world tilts slightly. Grandma Rose bought me the penthouse? She bought you your freedom. The penthouse was just the delivery method. I lean against the wall, processing this revelation. My grandmother, dead for 16 years, had been orchestrating my liberation from beyond the grave. The apartment that gave me independence, the lawyer who gave me protection, the courage that helped me walk away from everything safe and familiar, it all traces back to a woman who died when I was 16 but who understood exactly what I would need to become who I was meant to be. She knew, I say quietly. She knew I'd need to escape. She knew you were too much like her to spend your life letting other people make your choices. I look around the room at all these people who've made their own dramatic escapes, their own choices to prioritize authenticity over security. Tomorrow, Carmen and I will go back to work helping others make similar transitions. We'll provide legal support and strategic guidance and, most importantly, the knowledge that breaking free is possible. But tonight, I'm just standing in a room full of people who understand what it means to choose yourself over the expectations of others. People who know that sometimes the scariest thing you can do is also the most necessary thing. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Saw the article about your new firm in Forbes. Proud of you. A friend of your grandmother's. I show the message to Carmen, who laughs. Rose had a lot of friends. Lawyers, judges, businesswomen who broke barriers in their own ways. They've all been keeping track of you, cheering you on from a distance. How many people were involved in this conspiracy? Enough, Carmen says with a grin. Rose was very thorough when it came to protecting the people she loved. The party continues around us, but I find myself thinking about that night at the wedding reception. How alone I felt in that moment, how uncertain about what came next. I had no idea that I was part of a larger story, connected to a network of women who understood exactly what I was going through. Carmen, I say, thank you. For everything. For being ready when I needed you, for believing in this partnership, for helping me understand who I really am. Thank you for being brave enough to make that phone call. And for being brave enough to keep making hard choices even when they scared you. We clink our champagne glasses together, and I look around the room one more time. At Marcus, deep in conversation with potential clients. At Jessica, glowing with pregnancy and purpose. At my parents, awkwardly but genuinely trying to fit into the life I built without their permission. At Carmen, my business partner and unexpected family friend, who's been waiting 20 years to help me become who I was always meant to be. And at all the other people in this room who've made their own dramatic choices, their own leaps into uncertainty, their own decisions to prioritize authenticity over approval. This is what revolution looks like, I think. Not explosions and chaos, but quiet choices made by brave people who refuse to accept limitations imposed by others. People who decide that their own approval is more important than anyone else's, and who build lives and businesses and families around that principle. Outside the windows of our new office, the city glitters with possibility. And inside, surrounded by people who understand the cost and value of freedom, I raise my glass one more time. To Grandma Rose, I say quietly. And to all the women who make sure the next generation has choices. Carmen raises her glass. To choices well made. We drink, and I taste something that's become familiar over the past year and a half, the sweet, complex flavor of a life lived on my own terms. It tastes like everything I ever dreamed of, and more.